On the island of Berk, the Viking villagers sound the alarm for an incoming dragon attack. Hiccup leaves his house to join the fight, but is caught by Stoic, his father. Hiccup is made to go to the Forge, where he apprentices under the weapons master Gobber the Belch. Gobber occupies Hiccup to prevent him from joining the fight, as Hiccup's small stature makes him unable to use weapons while he sees his mates allowed to join in the fight. The Night Fury is the rarest dragon no one has ever seen, and Hiccup dreams of slaying a dragon someday.
Any Night Furies? None so far, Chief. Good.
Hiccup takes his newest invention, a bola launcher, and brings it to the edge of the village, hoping to catch a Night Fury. He blindly fires the weapon, which hits the mark and ensnares the Night Fury. Hiccup is found and chased by a monstrous nightmare, but Stoic rescues him just before he is immolated, fighting the dragon with his bare hands. After the structure Hiccup hides behind collapses, numerous trapped dragons are released, and they retreat along with the others. When Hiccup describes how to catch a Night Fury to Stoic, he is chastised for never following orders. The story about shooting down a Night Fury is disbelieved by Stoic, and the entire village agree that Hiccup is nothing but a nuisance. After Stoic orders Gobber to take Hiccup home, he complains about his dad's stubbornness and refusal to pay attention, but Gobber only agrees that stubbornness runs in their family. As soon as Gobber leaves, Hiccup takes off to find the Night Fury. Meanwhile, Stoic rallies the villagers in the Great Hall and charges them to set sail in search of the dragon's nest, which lies somewhere in a mist-covered and extremely dangerous portion of the archipelago. Despite failed attempts which cause disappointments within a few Vikings, Stoic is able to convince them to make one more attempt before winter.
Prepare the ships!
After the meeting, he asks Gobber to stay behind and train the latest batch of young recruits. But Stoic thinks his son is too weak and talentless, stating that he will never be ready when Gobber suggests adding Hiccup to the training. Eventually, Gobber convinces Stoic to let Hiccup join the training. Deep into the forest, the frustrated Hiccup scours the area until he spots the Night Fury, completely immobilized by his bolas, but still alive. He draws his knife to slaughter the dragon and prove himself to Stoic and the entire tribe. But when he looks into the eyes of the dragon, he cannot bring himself to do it. So he cuts the ropes and liberates the Night Fury, which immediately pounces but does not kill him. He returns home and is gifted a weapon by Stoic, but Hiccup tells him that he is no longer interested in becoming a dragon slayer. Stoic insists and tells him that he expects him to start acting like a Viking before heading to the ships. The following day, Astrid, Snotlout, Fishlegs, and the twins enter the arena to begin a training called the Trial of Flame. They are joined by Hiccup, whose presence is clearly unwanted. Gobber quickly explains that they will learn to fight all main types of dragons, and at the end of the course, the best recruit will earn the title of Top Slayer, and will be given the honor of killing their first dragon in front of the entire tribe. Gobber releases a Gronkle as the teens race for shields. He tells them to avoid being hit by fireballs, advising them to make clanging noises with their shields to disorient the dragon. All the recruits are eliminated one after the other except for Astrid. Hiccup is rescued by Gobber, and the lesson ends with Gobber telling him that a dragon will always finish off its prey. Consequently, Hiccup returns to the forest where he found the Night Fury, wondering why it didn't finish him off. He eventually finds the dragon struggling to get out of the cliff surrounding the cove, but as it attempts to fly, it is unable to control itself or gain altitude. Hiccup sketches the dragon and notices that one of its tail fins has been ripped off by his weapon, leaving it with no way to steer itself. At supper, Gobber assembles the recruits again and gives them the Book of Dragons, ordering them to learn while they can. Hiccup suggests that perhaps the dragons are not as bad as they have been told, but Astrid finds his opinion naive and idiotic, saying that he is a spoiled brat who enjoys luxury, but she, on the other hand, is extremely ambitious of becoming the chief someday when Hiccup becomes unworthy.
Out of my way, Hiccup.
He discovers that every dragon bears instructions to kill on sight, except for the Night Fury, which has no information other than to run from it. The Viking boats make it to the edge of Helheim's Gate, a section covered by thick fog. Stoic orders the ship to enter, and they attempt to carefully navigate the area. Shortly after, they are ambushed by a legion of dragons, and their ships are torn apart. At training the following day, the recruits are taught how to outmaneuver a dragon and identify its blind spots. But instead, Hiccup pesters Gobber for more information on Night Furies. After training, Hiccup returns to the cove with a fish and runs into the Night Fury. He drops his weapons and feeds the fish to the now placid dragon. He realizes that the Night Fury has retractable teeth, and when he tries to touch the dragon, it goes away. Hiccup spends the rest of the day observing the dragon, which shows intelligence much higher than other dragons. He attempts to touch it again, but receives a warning, so Hiccup turns away to show his own trust, and this draws the dragon to touch his hand with its head. Later that night, Hiccup and the other recruits listen to Gabr's story of how his hand and leg was eaten by dragons. Astrid notices Hiccup slip away, heading to the forge where he designs and constructs a mechanical tail fin, and the following day he takes it to the cove, along with some food for the dragon, whom he has now named Toothless. While the dragon feeds, Hiccup straps the mechanical fin to his tail, and the dragon takes off, sensing the difference. Hiccup manually holds the fin open while clinging onto the dragon and notices that he could influence the dragon's direction. The teens continue training. They are pitted against the hideous Zippleback, a dragon with two heads of which one releases inflammable gas. As the arena is filled with thick smoke, surprisingly, while other recruits suck at taming the dragon, Hiccup intimidates the Zippleback into its cage using the eel he took from the fish basket, which Toothless was scared of. Over the next days, he makes a saddle so he can operate the tail fin on board Toothless, inventing a pedal system that allows him help Toothless maintain his flight. While training Toothless, Hiccup discovers several dragon traits which he uses in the Trial of Flame to subdue the training dragons without violence. This causes his reputation to grow as well as his popularity among the Vikings. Stoic and the surviving Vikings return to Berk, having failed to find the dragon's nest yet again. The villagers congratulate Stoic on Hiccup's recent success in training. Meanwhile, Hiccup and Toothless prepare to make a full flight, and with written instructions on how to keep track of the tail positions, they soar around the coast, improving and attempting more complex maneuvers. Toothless soars high into the sky, causing Hiccup to slip off the saddle as they both go into a freefall. But Hiccup is able to return to the saddle in time to open the tail again as they navigate a dangerous set of coastal rocks at incredible speeds, making it through unscathed. When Hiccup returns, he is surprised by Stoic, who is impressed by his feat achieved during his absence, so he gives him a helmet for his final test, and Hiccup awkwardly accepts. During the last lesson the following day, Astrid makes Hiccup promise to stay out of her way, but before she can get to the dragon, it attacks Hiccup, who is able to pacify the beast, making Astrid immensely furious. Eldergothi confirms Hiccup to be top slayer over Astrid to both of their dismay. When Hiccup returns to the cove to run away with Toothless, he finds Astrid waiting for him. She demands to know his secret, asserting that he is a fraud. She spots the dragon, but Hiccup gets between them. He introduces Toothless to Astrid, and when she runs, they catch her, flying her to the top of a cliff to force her to listen to Hiccup. When Astrid climbs onto Toothless, the dragon launches into the air, flying as rough as it can to scare Astrid, forcing her to apologize to Toothless, who immediately levels out and flies smoothly as they go on a beautiful ride through the skies, watching the sun go down. Astrid questions Hiccup on how he intends to complete the Trial of Flame without killing the dragon, but Hiccup wants to attempt to change the minds of the Vikings about dragons in general. Toothless suddenly dives into the mist below, joining a massive flock of dragons returning to their nest. They fly into a massive cavern in the heart of a mountainous island, where they see all of the dragons dropping food into the smoke-filled pit below. They observe that once a dragon fails to bring enough food, an enormous head comes out of the darkness and eats it. Toothless flies the teenagers out as the panicked dragons flee from the gigantic dragon. Back in the cove, Astrid wants to tell the chief about the nest, but Hiccup says they would have to tell him about Toothless as well, which would put them in danger. Hiccup promises to think of something before the trials end the next day, and she agrees to keep the secret. The next day, Stoic addresses the entire tribe that has assembled at the arena for the dragon slaying, expressing both his shock and his pride for his newly warrior-like son. Before entering the ring, Hiccup tells Astrid he is going to try and end the conflict, but asks her to keep her distance if things go wrong to preserve her reputation. He goes into the arena and is locked in as the monstrous nightmare is released. The angry dragon is explosively violent, but Hiccup, to the shock of the assembled crowd, drops his dagger, shield, and helmet, calming the beast. Stoic orders the fight to be stopped, but Hiccup tells them that dragons are not mindless monsters and they do not have to kill them. But Stoic shouts for a halt, and the noise spooks the monstrous nightmare, which goes on the attack. Hiccup, trapped in the arena, does his best to avoid being killed as Astrid pries open the gate enough to slip through and help. In the cove, Toothless hears Hiccup in danger and desperately tries to climb out, eventually able to pull himself to the top. Stoic is able to lift the gate for both of the teens to escape, but the nightmare cuts Hiccup off and pins him to the ground. Before he can kill him, Toothless blasts his way into the arena and battles the nightmare. Toothless is able to drive the dragon away, but the Vikings in the stands charge into the ring to kill him. Toothless fights back as Stoic himself enters the fray, trapping the chief and nearly blasting him before Hiccup yells for him to stop. The Vikings take advantage of this to subdue and capture Toothless, offering the kill to Stoic. The chief instead orders him to be put with the other captive dragons, before taking Hiccup to the Great Hall and confronting him in rage. Hiccup admits he should have found a way of telling him of his activity sooner, and begs him not to hurt Toothless. Stoic realizes Hiccup has found the dragon's lair and demands to know where it is, but Hiccup confesses that Toothless was the one who brought them there, using a strange instinct only a dragon has. Realizing what Stoic intends to do, Hiccup desperately tells him that the queen of the nest is far too large and powerful, and that the Vikings wouldn't stand a chance. Stoic ignores him, telling him he has chosen his side, and disowning him before ordering the ships to be made ready once more. Toothless is restrained aboard Stoic's ship as Hiccup watches helplessly from a distance, and the Berkian warriors board the armada and sail away to find the dragon's nest. Astrid finds Hiccup, wishing he had just killed Toothless instead of putting him through this and sending his people to their deaths. Astrid asks why Hiccup wouldn't do what all the rest of them would have done and finished him off. And Hiccup admits that he saw himself in the dragon just as frightened as he was. She tells him Toothless is even more afraid now and asks what he plans to do about it. Suddenly inspired, Hiccup hatches an insane plan. The Viking boats once again enter Helheim's gate, and as they navigate, they are once again surrounded by dragons, who hide instead of attacking. Toothless starts to shudder as if being drawn to something, and Stoic has the ships follow through the deadly rocks and all the way to a desolate island, the Dragon's Nest. Back on Berk, Astrid gathers the rest of the teens to meet Hiccup at the arena. He releases the training dragons and shows the others how to earn their trust and tame them. Snotlout bonds with the monstrous nightmare. As day breaks, the Vikings have dug in around the base of the dragon's mountain and are ready for battle. Stoic gives a speech and orders the catapults to fire. The stones smash through into the mountain, revealing hundreds and hundreds of dragons, who flee as the Vikings attack, flying away without a fight. However, as the Vikings declare victory, the mountain breaks open as the gargantuan dragon queen emerges, the Red Death. The Vikings are immediately routed as the giant dragon attacks and unleashes a firestorm on the entire armada, endangering Toothless, who is still chained aboard. Now trapped, Stoic orders the warriors to retreat to the other side of the island while he distracts the hulking beast. Gobber decides to go with him, but they don't get far before the dragon turns its attention on them. Before it can kill them, it is fired upon by Hiccup, Astrid, and the other teens, all riding dragons. Hiccup appoints Astrid to direct the others while he finds Toothless. Astrid orders Snotlout and Fishlegs to find its blind spot and disorient it while the twins draw its fire. Hiccup attempts to free his dragon, but the restraints are too strong. Snotlout's dragon crashes, stranding him on the queen's head. He is able to prevent it from eating Fishlegs by hitting it in its eyes, but loses his grip and is in danger of falling. As the Red Death fights back, it smashes the ship that Hiccup and Toothless are on, plunging them into the water. Hiccup desperately tries to release Toothless, but almost drowns before Stoic pulls him out. The chief dives back in and breaks open the restraints, freeing Toothless, who returns to Hiccup's side. Hiccup mounts the Night Fury and gets ready to join the battle. They succeed in provoking it to follow them high into the clouds, before using Toothless' stealth to vanish. As it searches for them in the darkness, they fire precision blasts targeting its huge wings. Enraged, it spews fire in every direction, igniting Toothless' prosthetic tail. Hiccup enacts the final stage of his plan, sending Toothless into a straight dive through the smoke with the Red Death on their heels. The Dragon Queen gains on them and gets ready to release another blast of fire, and as they reach terminal velocity, Hiccup tells Toothless to fire a blast into its mouth. Its gases ignite, and burning it from the inside as the ground comes into view. As the smoke clears, Stoic searches the destruction for Hiccup, but finds only an incapacitated Toothless, his saddle empty. Stoic, Astrid, and the other Berkians grieve the loss of Hiccup, and Stoic apologizes to him and his dragon. Toothless recovers and unfurls his wings to reveal Hiccup in his grasp, unconscious and severely injured, but alive. The villagers celebrate, and Stoic thanks Toothless for saving his son's life. Days later, Hiccup awakens in his home and is greeted by Toothless. Confused, he gets up and finds that his left leg is gone and has been replaced by a mechanical prosthetic. Toothless assists Hiccup outside, where he sees that the entire village has accepted dragons into their society. Hiccup and the other dragon riders take to the sky on their dragons as a new era of peace dawns on Berk. This is Falcon Recaps. Thanks for watching.
I'm proud to call you my son.